They got the wire transfer on a Tuesday, $2,300,000. I know the exact amount because I was supposed to be in that room. My name was supposed to be on that term sheet. My idea was supposed to be what they were funding. Instead, I was sitting in my car in a parking garage, staring at a LinkedIn notification on my phone. Congratulations to Marcus Webb and Jamie Osei on closing their Series A round. Marcus Webb, my former co-founder, the man I had trusted with every detail of what I was building. I sat in that car for 45 minutes. I didn't cry. I didn't call anyone. I just sat there, completely still, reading the announcement over and over, watching the congratulations pile up in the comments from people who had no idea what had actually happened. This is the story of how they took everything I built and what happened when I decided not to stay silent. Let me take you back 18 months. I had spent 2 years developing a B2B logistics software concept, not a vague idea, a fully mapped product. I had the market research, the competitive analysis, the monetization model, the technical architecture. I had interviewed 43 potential customers. I had a prototype that 3 companies had already agreed to pilot. What I didn't have was a co-founder with a development background. Building the full product alone would take too long. I needed someone who could lead engineering while I handled product and business development. That's when a mutual contact introduced me to Marcus. Marcus was sharp, technical, and immediately understood the vision. Within our first 3 conversations, he was finishing my sentences. He knew the logistics space. He had worked at 2 enterprise software companies. He asked exactly the right questions. We signed a co-founder agreement in October. Equity split, 60-40 in my favor. IP ownership clearly attributed to me as the originating founder. I had a lawyer draft it. I remember feeling like I had finally found the missing piece. 6 weeks later, Marcus introduced me to Jamie. Jamie was a product strategist, Marcus told me, someone who could help us refine the go-to-market approach before we started fundraising. A consultant, essentially. We brought him in for a fixed fee, gave him access to our internal documents, our customer research, our pitch deck. He was with us for 8 weeks. Then he went quiet. And 2 weeks after that, so did Marcus. The first sign was small. Marcus started missing our weekly syncs. When he did show up, he was distracted, vague, always in a hurry to get off the call. He said he was dealing with a family situation. I gave him space. Then one of our pilot customers, a freight company in Ohio, sent me an odd email. They said they had been contacted by another software company offering a very similar solution. They wanted to know if we had a sister company or a related product they should know about. I told them no. I asked for details. They forwarded me a deck. I opened it, and there it was. My market research, my customer segmentation, my pricing model, my technical architecture, reworded, rebranded, and presented under a company called VelaChain, founded by Marcus Webb and Jamie Osei. The deck even used a phrase I had coined myself, a specific way of describing our core value proposition that I had written in an internal document 8 months earlier. Word for word. I closed my laptop. I opened it again. I read the deck 3 more times. Then I called my lawyer. "Don't confront them yet," she said. "Not until we have everything documented." So I didn't. For 3 weeks, I gathered everything. Every email, every Slack message, every shared document with access logs, every version history showing when files were opened and by whom. I had given Marcus and Jamie access to a shared workspace, and that workspace had timestamps on everything. What the access logs showed was methodical. In the 6 weeks before Marcus went quiet, he had opened our core technical architecture document 41 times. He had downloaded our customer research files. He had exported our financial model. Jamie had accessed our pitch deck 17 times in his last 2 weeks with us. They hadn't just taken inspiration. They had systematically extracted everything they needed and then walked away. My lawyer filed for a temporary restraining order and initiated an IP theft claim within the same week. We also sent a formal letter to the venture firm that had funded Velachain's Series A, informing them of the pending litigation and attaching our documented evidence. That letter landed on a Friday afternoon. By Monday morning, we had heard back. The venture firm had a reputation to protect. They had funded companies before that had faced IP disputes, and it had cost them in legal fees, in portfolio value, in limited partner relationships. They didn't want another one. Their lawyers contacted my lawyers within 48 hours. What followed was 4 months of negotiation that I am not going to pretend was easy or clean. There were weeks where I genuinely didn't know which way it would go. There were nights where I questioned whether I had the resources to see it through. There were moments where settling felt like the only rational option. But we had the timestamps. We had the access logs. We had the original documents with metadata predating everything Velachain had filed, and my lawyer was very good at making sure the other side understood exactly what a court case would look like for them. The settlement came in month 4. I cannot disclose the full terms. What I can tell you is this. Velachain was restructured. The IP was formally attributed to me. I received a financial settlement that more than covered my legal costs, and the venture firm quietly wrote down their investment. Marcus and Jamie did not come out of it well. The venture community is smaller than it looks. The story traveled. Last I checked, Marcus is doing independent consulting. Jamie hasn't posted on LinkedIn in 14 months. Here's what I want you to take from this. When it happened, my first instinct was silence. I told myself I didn't have the money for a legal fight. I told myself I couldn't prove anything. I told myself that maybe I was wrong. Maybe it was coincidence. Maybe I was overreacting. I almost talked myself out of fighting. But here's what I've learned. People who steal ideas count on that silence. They count on you being too overwhelmed, too underfunded, too emotionally exhausted to come after them. They take the calculated risk that you'll walk away. Document everything. From day one. Every conversation, every shared file, every access granted. Not because you expect betrayal, but because documentation is the only language that matters when betrayal comes. Marcus and Jamie built an entire company on the assumption that I would stay quiet. They were wrong. And the $2 million they thought they had secured, it cost them a lot more than that in the end. Karma doesn't negotiate. It just presents the bill.